Tonight on Cronkite News, President Trump is back in Washington where he met President Biden to discuss the transition process.
Plus, Trump announces a controversial pick for defense secretary. We'll have reactions tonight about his choice from Arizona Senator Mark Kelly.
And the NAU marching band gets national recognition as they score a spot in a prestigious parade. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Anna McClure.
And I'm Jalen Weathers. Thank you for joining us. President-elect Donald Trump is back in Washington. He and President Joe Biden met to discuss the transition process. CNN reporter Julia Benbrook was at the White House with more on this visit.
President Joe Biden and President-elect Donald Trump meeting in the Oval Office Wednesday.
Looking forward to having like we said, a smooth transition.
It's their first sit-down since Trump secured a second term.
Politics is tough, and it's in many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much. A transition that's so smooth, it'll be as smooth as it can get.
It's a tradition for the outgoing president to host the incoming commander-in-chief after the election. But Trump did not host Biden in 2020, as he fought the election results based on falsehoods about voter fraud. He also chose to skip Biden's inauguration. Following a disappointing loss for the Democratic Party, Biden has been intentional in his efforts to endorse the sanctity of the election and acknowledge Trump's victory.
Campaigns are contests of competing visions. The country chooses one or the other. We accept the choice the country made.
This meeting comes as Biden works to secure his legacy and Trump prepares to take office, tapping loyalists for key positions that offer a glimpse into how certain policies may be implemented. According to people familiar with Trump's plans, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem will be asked to lead the Department of Homeland Security, and sources say Florida Senator Marco Rubio is his top choice for Secretary of State.
And late today, President-elect Trump said that Rubio is his choice to serve as Secretary of State. Rubio would need to be confirmed to the post by the Senate.
Another cabinet pick from Trump is causing some controversy. Yesterday, he announced plans for a Fox News host to serve as his defense secretary.
Lauren Bly has a reaction on the pick from Washington, D.C.
President-elect Donald Trump met with House Republicans today as Congress digests the news that he picked a Fox News personality with no national security experience for the Secretary of Defense. Pete Hegseth is a veteran of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he's a popular conservative media personality, and Trump is a longtime fan. The nation's defense chief leads the Pentagon in 1.3 million active duty personnel, plus civilians and National Guard. Hegseth wants women out of combat roles and has railed against, quote, woke policies in the military. I caught up with Senator Mark Kelly, a Navy combat pilot, and the Arizona Democrat is skeptical.
I think one important job or important thing in your background is have you implemented policy on a large scale or created defense policy. But he'll go through a process, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of questions.
Other lawmakers have been stunned that Trump picked such an unconventional defense secretary, but he only needs 51 votes, and as long as Republicans stay united, Hegseth is likely to be confirmed. In Washington, Lauren Bly, Cronkite News.
We also learned late today that he nominated Florida Representative Matt Gaetz for the post of U.S. Attorney General. Gaetz posted on social media that it would be an honor to serve that role.
Meanwhile, Arizona's newest U.S. Senator Ruben Gallego has announced his transition committee.
The committee is a 21-member bipartisan coalition that meets to advise Gallego on issues that are important to Arizonans. And the state legislature has elected its new leaders. Republicans control both the Arizona House and Senate. The GOP re-elected Warren Peterson as Senate Majority Leader. Steve Montenegro was chosen as Speaker of the House.
As for the Democrats, Senator Priya Sundaresh was chosen as Senate Minority Leader, and Oscar de los Santos was elected the House Minority Leader. In other news, are 4-day school weeks the beginning of a new educational trend?
Yes, Sienna tells us about one school that gives families a choice in their children's educational experience.
ASU Prep Academy has introduced a new program called Family Choice Day, an initiative that gives families and students more flexibility in their learning. Monday through Friday, you can hear music in this classroom, but on Fridays, not all classrooms at ASU Prep are this lively under the Family Choice Day program.
And we came to a point where we were seeing some great success in offering families more choice. And so rather than have it be something that we offered to only a small portion of our student population, we were ready to say all families deserve more flexibility and choice.
On Fridays, students can join clubs and activities, including gardening, STEAM and leadership, and music programs, where students can explore interests like Sanaya. It's an opportunity to get creative.
It's very good if you're an energetic person and you love to create your own things and design your own things and do music.
92% of families are taking advantage of special Friday programming. But for families choosing to keep their students at home, Pilgrim Rest offers a Friday playlist, a guide to learning activities that students can do remotely, such as digital classrooms similar to the curriculum these kindergartens are tackling. Jennifer Munoz, a parent of a kindergarten student at ASU Prep Pilgrim Rest, says that Family Choice Fridays is one reason her son looks forward to school.
It gives him that chance to see school in a different light. So it's not just work, 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 work. It's work, but here's something interesting to tie it all together.
Since starting the program this year, ASU Prep Pilgrim Rest has 965 students opted for the choice to work beyond the regular classroom. Since starting this program, they've expanded Family Choice Day across all 5 schools. In the newsroom, Sienna Monet, Cronkite News.
Thanks, Sienna. In other ASU news, Arizona State University President Michael Crow was named on the Time 100 climate list.
Yes, the list includes leaders and innovators working toward climate action from a wide range of fields. Crow is the first university president ever named on this list. It is also the second time Time magazine released their climate list. But this isn't the first time Crow has been honored by Time. In 2009, the magazine honored him on their list of 10 best college presidents. Cronkite News is produced by students at ASU.
Coming up next, an inflation increase from October.
Yeah, and what was the cause of this increase? Stick around to find out what this means for the Federal Reserve and its rate cuts.
And here's a look outside in downtown Phoenix. Your full weather forecast after the break.
When I was younger, there were no engineers around me. So I had to become my own role model. At ASU, I wasn't just learning to be an engineer. I was actually engineering. And graduating, I already had real-world jobs lined up. Before ASU, my goal was to be a strong, confident woman. And when I left, I became a strong, confident engineer.
People have always had trouble trying to put me into a box. A professor, suit and tie is just not me. Without the ocean, I don't know what I would do. You know, the ocean's always been there for me. As Hawaiian people, we believe that the coral is the first living being to come out of the darkness. It's the foundation of our entire lifestyle, and that's what my research is about. What we do is we take photographs of the reef over long periods of time to create models that can tell us what the planet is doing. If we go deaf to what the Earth is telling us, then we'll never be able to live in harmony. If I can get my students excited about protecting the ocean, then they're the ones who are gonna really make the difference. I hope my students realize that I'm not trying to prepare them for something in the distant future. Their time is now at Arizona State University.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. We saw an inflation increase last month.
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics from last year, consumer prices rose 2.6%.
The increase comes after recording the slowest growth rate in 3.5 years. Half of the month's rise is due to housing-related inflation. Energy prices, on the other hand, remained stable, and inflation as a whole still appears steady, leaving the Fed on track to cut more rates in December.
The Jennings Creek wildfire along the New York-New Jersey border continues to grow, burning over 3,000 acres. Last night, police arrested a volunteer firefighter in Long Island after he allegedly admitted to setting one of the brush fires in the area, which took firefighters 6 hours to put out.
Back here in the valley, we're seeing temperatures trending down. I have to wear a jacket when I walk into the newsroom in the mornings.
Who are you telling, Anna? Are those cooler temperatures finally here to stay? We have Keller Brown at the Cronkite Weather Center to give us a full forecast. Keller?
Yeah, thanks, guys. The weather is dropping indeed. Let's take a look at the Wednesday evening planner. At 8 p.m. is 67 degrees, and that is when the Phoenix Suns tip off in Sacramento against the Kings. Suns looking to get a little bit of revenge as the Kings came into their house this past Sunday and beat them in overtime. Let's take a look now at the low temperatures for Thursday. 52 degrees Phoenix in the low temperatures right there. 32 degrees in Flagstaff and 27 up in Grand Canyon. So if you're up in northern part of Arizona, make sure to wear a lot of hoodies, a lot of bundling up in the early morning and late evening. Now let's move into the higher temperatures. 83 degrees in Phoenix, Arizona, the only place that has a higher forecasted high temperature. Right down there in Tucson, Arizona, the two highest populated cities, the two highest high temperatures for Thursday. Now let's move into the wind speeds. As we take a look at the Thursday morning and into Thursday late afternoon, not a whole lot of wind speeds going on except a little bit in northern Arizona. And as we transition into late Thursday into early Friday, you see the wind speeds picking up a lot more, particularly in the northeastern point of Arizona. Finally, let's take a look at the 8-day forecast. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 83, 72, and 66. That temperature is dropping. And as we take a look at Sunday into the early parts of next week, 69 degrees as we move into 70 degrees, and then 75 and 77 as we get closer to next Friday. That's all I have from the Cronkite Weather Center. Back to you guys at the desk.
Coming up next, NBA in-season tournament action tipped off last night.
Yeah, Anna, the Suns are looking to return to bracket play after claiming a wild card spot last season. Stick around to see how Phoenix did against the Jazz without their full Big Three in action.
When I was younger, there were no engineers around me, so I had to become my own role model. At ASU, I wasn't just learning to be an engineer, I was actually engineering. And graduating, I already had real-world jobs lined up. Before ASU, my goal was to be a strong, confident woman. And when I left, I became a strong, confident engineer.
People have always had trouble trying to put me into a box. A professor, suit and tie is just not me. Without the ocean, I don't know what I would do. You know, the ocean's always been there for me. As Hawaiian people, we believe that the coral is the first living being to come out of the darkness. It's the foundation of our entire lifestyle, and that's what my research is about. What we do is we take photographs of the reef over long periods of time to create models that can tell us what the planet is doing. If we go deaf to what the Earth is telling us, then we'll never be able to live in harmony. If I can get my students excited about protecting the ocean, then they're the ones who are gonna really make the difference. I hope my students realize that I'm not trying to prepare them for something in the distant future. Their time is now at Arizona State University.
Hello and welcome to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Kendall Flynn. The NBA's in-season tournament tipped off last night as the Phoenix Suns traveled to Salt Lake City to face the Jazz. Kevin Durant did not play due to injury, but it was no issue for the Red Hot Suns team. Phoenix led by 12 points after the first quarter and never surrendered their lead. The Suns' defense was dominant in the first half as they blocked 9 shots. On the offensive side, guards Devin Booker and Bradley Beal combined for 55 points. The team is back in action tonight as they travel to Sacramento to face the Kings. With the win, Phoenix stays atop a competitive Western Conference. 3 teams are currently tied for the 1 seed with a 9-2 records. After taking on the Kings tonight, the Suns face the Thunder on Friday for a chance to break away from the pack. Friday's game will also be their second game of the NBA in-season tournament. The last time the Cardinals lost a football game was back in October 13th to be exact. Since that day, the Cardinals have gone on to win 4 straight games. Things have been improving quickly under head coach Jonathan Gannon. The Cardinals currently sit alone at the top of the division. The team is 6-4 and leads the San Francisco 49ers by half a game. Los Angeles and Seattle round out the bottom of the division. The Cardinals will sit back and enjoy the rest of the bye week before they prepare for the Seattle Seahawks on November 24th. After his near-perfect game against the Jets, quarterback Kyler Murray won NFC Offensive Player of the Week for the 6th time in his career. Murray completed 22 of his 24 passes for 266 yards with a touchdown. Murray also ran in a pair of touchdowns and has now won the most Player of the Week awards in franchise history. Before the season started, ASU football was picked to finish last in the Big 12. Now the team sits just outside the top 25 rankings and is 7-2 on the year. The Sun Devils are 4-2 in the Big 12, and the team has won 4 out of their last 5 conference games. But things don't get easier for ASU. The Sun Devils head to Manhattan, Kansas to face the 16th-ranked Kansas State Wildcats on Saturday. Star running back Cam Scatterbo did not play in last week's victory due to a shoulder injury, but head coach Kenny Dillingham provided a positive update on the team's leading rusher earlier today.
He's doing really well. I mean, he's going to play, barring something changing. You would expect him to play the football game. So I fully expect him to play this week unless something changes.
While the temperatures are dropping here in the Valley, the sports teams are heating up. The Suns, Cardinals, and Sun Devils all possess winning records at the moment. The Suns and Cards both lead their respective divisions, while ASU is still on the hunt for a Big 12 Conference Championship game bid. Both football teams have already exceeded their win totals from each of the past 2 seasons, with plenty of games still left to be played. It has been a turnaround year for Arizona sports, but there is still a lot of season to go for all 3 teams. Big names were spotted for the NASCAR season finale at Phoenix Raceway, bringing star power both on and off the track. Championship Sunday brought out sports legends, including NBA icon Michael Jordan, showcasing the growing appeal of NASCAR beyond its usual fan base. But it was Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps who took things up a notch, stepping into the role of the honorary pace car driver.
Sitting in the front seat going 100 miles an hour in a Camry on this track was pretty exhilarating. It only makes me think about what these guys are going to go through, these athletes are going to go through out there going 130 to 160 mile an hour around this track. Mind-blowing to me.
The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is often called the Super Bowl for marching bands, and in 2025, Northern Arizona University will have the honor of playing on that national stage. Kayla Marinaud took a trip to Flagstaff to see how NAU's band marches to its own unique beat.
It takes a good beat, a good tune, and a whole lot of brass to make a good marching band. But it's the intangibles that set Northern Arizona University's Lumberjack Marching Band apart from the rest.
The focus is on inclusivity and a positive culture, and that gives us the results that we're looking for.
It's a culture that also embodies pride and enthusiasm. The Lumberjacks are known for their intricate formations,
The design process for the staff starts well before then. In May, June, we select music, figure out what we want to do. We know pretty much how many folks want to do this by about mid-July.
And their unique routines helped make them one of only 10 bands across the country to make it into the 2025 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Honestly, it is a dream come true, not only for myself, but for all 200 of us.
This is something that not everyone gets to do, and we were selected from about 78 bands in the entire country.
It takes a village to create something magical on the field. Practicing for hours, 3 days a week. The band prepares for their performances just like any athletic team.
There's not a lot that I can compare it to because it is very mental and very physical, just marching, moving around, making sure that you're in unison with everybody around you.
To get ready for games on Saturdays, the NAU Lumberjack Marching Band starts earlier than you think. For the football team, each week they present a different opponent, while for the marching band, keeping a fresh routine is its weekly challenge. Go Lumberjacks!
We're always changing out elements of the show from week to week. So if you go to a NAU football game, you'll see something slightly different every week.
The marching band isn't the only piece that makes this special. A spin and a twirl of the baton give the band more variety in their performance.
We do a lot of things different, from the guard and from the marching band, but all together we create a performance.
From the hours of sweat to shivers, the sounds and creativity of the Lumberjack Marching Band will carry them from the mountains of Arizona to the streets of Manhattan. In Flagstaff, Kayla Marinoff, Cronkite News.
Thanks, Kayla. Will definitely be exciting to watch the Lumberjacks perform in the Macy's Parade. That's it for this edition of the Cronkite Sports Report. Back to Anna and Jalen at the desk.
Coming up next, we're all familiar with those pesky late fines when you return a library book late.
Yeah, and someone is paying a hefty fine at a library in Boston. Find out how much it costs to return a book 51 years later after the break.
A look at the White House.
When I was younger, there were no engineers around me. So I had to become my own role model. At ASU, I wasn't just learning to be an engineer. I was actually engineering. And graduating, I already had real-world jobs lined up. Before ASU, my goal was to be a strong, confident woman. And when I left, I became a strong, confident engineer.
People have always had trouble trying to put me into a box. A professor, suit and tie is just not me. Without the ocean, I don't know what I would do. The ocean's always been there for me. As Hawaiian people, we believe that the coral is the first living being to come out of the darkness. It's the foundation of our entire lifestyle, and that's what my research is about. What we do is we take photographs of the reef over long periods of time to create models that can tell us what the planet is doing. If we go deaf to what the Earth is telling us, then we'll never be able to live in harmony. If I can get my students excited about protecting the ocean, then they're the ones who are gonna really make the difference. I hope my students realize that I'm not trying to prepare them for something in the distant future. Their time is now at Arizona State University.
look at the White House tonight. It's going to be a chilly night with temperatures dipping into the 30s, but it will be a warm day tomorrow here in the Valley. We're expecting a high of 81. Someone is facing a pesky library fine.
Yeah, a Boston resident found a book that was originally checked out in 1973. And that book finally made its way back to its rightful owner, the Worcester Library, almost 51 years later though. And what's the fine for such a late return like that? Almost $2,000. Thankfully, the library suspended late fines in 2020.
That's it for tonight's edition of Cronkite News. I'm Anna McClure.
And I'm Jalen Weathers. Thank you for joining us.
And to see top Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.